This is the Day of Battle podcast, Memorial Day message 2022. Memorial Day is here, a day to remember our fallen, a day to honor them. And our fallen deserve all the honor, remembrance, and respect that we as a nation can muster for them on this day, this May 30th, 2022. For on the day that they died, they stopped breathing oxygen. Their hearts stopped pumping blood. Their brains stopped longing for home and their loved ones, and they went to meet their Maker. On that final day, where they gave every last drop of their singular human existence, they met God that day. We as a nation are forever indebted to their complete and final sacrifice, as they had nothing left to give, and they no longer owned anything. As a 21-year-old corporal in Ramadi, Iraq in the spring of 2004, I had the privilege of leading Marines into battle against the enemies of freedom. We fought a hard fight, and it came at the high cost of pure-blooded American life. 2 of our valiant Marines fell in battle against the enemy and breathed their last. I stand before you as an eyewitness of the eternal sacrifice of Derek Halal, who would never see another day upon this planet. He would not be making any more phone calls home to his mother, father, brothers, or sisters. He would never be able to tell them what had happened in that horrible firefight. He would never open another Christmas present. He would never experience marriage or fatherhood. As the other Marines returned to the outpost that evening and reloaded, smoked cigarettes, ate hot chow, and cried upon one another, he was silent. He was finished because he was gone. Today, we remember our fallen. I remember Derek Halal today, as I remember him every day. But today is about more than just remembering. Our enemies remember their fallen too, but it does them no good. We must put our remembrance into understanding and resolve. We must understand the transaction that the fallen have entered into on our behalf. Whether they understood it completely or not, they purchased something with their blood, and their blood was not shed in vain. Freedom was the product of their purchase, and freedom has never come by the currency of money. Blood is the only currency that freedom knows. It does not come by negotiation. It does not come by theft. It does not come by law or regulation. Freedom only comes when the currency of pure blood is spilt upon a battlefield. It only comes by the innocent and righteous killing the wicked and tyrannical, and in the process of that bloody exchange, the innocent and righteous will be harmed. Such is the nature of war, and war is the closest thing to hell on this side of eternity. Freedom is the most costly of all intangible possessions, for once it is purchased with that precious blood, it must soon be purchased again. And yet again, the forever sacrifice of a sweet young human life will have to be spent to protect it. Throughout the years of our country's history, young men with bravery and blood coursing through their veins have marched their way onto a battlefield. They have looked death in the eye and kept on marching forward. They did not wish to die themselves, most of them, probably thought it would be someone else, but it was them, and the battlefield was the last place that they breathed. Many who bask in the comforts of the costly gift of freedom would never pay for it themselves, and they would never recommend their son join the military for fear that he would enter into the transaction of blood for freedom. They like freedom well enough, but only if it is someone else's son and someone else's blood. Others who enjoy the luxury of the product of this precious spilt blood would give away the freedom so valiantly fought for because it would require that they fight for it themselves at some point. And the risk of seeming divisive outweigh the benefit of freedom for their generation and the next. Still, others trade it away, for it is the trendy thing at the time, and it sounds smart to give it away for safety and security. They trade it away because the government promised to give it back when they were finished trampling upon it. Freedom seemed like the last thing they needed and the best thing to give away in the face of uncertain times. They said you could have it back later. Worse than all these, others traded it because the American freedom was scoffed at by the nations of the world, by the elite media propagandists, by men who themselves lack a single ounce of battlefield courage and could not last 1 minute in a fight. But they seem to have the quick-witted answers for how our nation should proceed. Remember the fallen with understanding. Realize the days that you live in, that freedom is under assault around the globe and here at home. Remember and understand that the blood that was given for this nation and our freedom has always been an investment that must continually be paid for, paid into, paid in full, or it will be forever wiped out. The investors themselves are a rare breed. They are forged from a different fire. The blood found within their veins is not of common form. For while they never wanted to shed it upon a battlefield, they knowingly made a decision to enter into a contract to shed it on the behalf of someone they did not know. For those who would never do so, and pledged to make an investment in this great land for others to take advantage of, should they forfeit their life in doing so. The investments made at the Revolutionary War and have raged on since they began. Every investment has been paid in full, with all finality. They have been paid on battlefields here at home and far abroad. Investments were made hundreds of years ago, and not so long ago. These investments were made in the wheat fields of Belleau Wood, San Miguel, and Blancmont, the hot jungles of Guadalcanal, Peleliu, Okinawa, the sands of Iwo Jima, the wet and cold climates of Normandy, and the forests of Belgium. The investments were made at Incheon and the frozen Chosin Reservoir. Again, in the hot jungles of Chulai, Daido, and Wei City. The dusty and hot neighborhoods of Mogadishu. The streets of Fallujah, Baghdad, and Ramadi. They were paid in mountains, valleys, streets, and caves in places like Helmand, Kandahar, and Korangal. With so much invested, the price of freedom is higher than it has ever been before. So that no blood was shed in vain, form a resolve within your bones to never quit and never give up on your oath to the Constitution. Never quit and never give up on the millions of sacred and eternal payments on the mortgage of freedom. Never turn your back on the fallen, and do not ignore their sacred spilled blood, their sacred last breath, Always stand ready to fight for freedom, and if necessary, to pay the price for it. Freedom, the most costly of all possessions, and the bloodiest of all transactions. And if it is lost, it will be because it was traded away without blood for convenience and security. Freedom, the hardest to grab a hold of, the heaviest to hang on to, and the easiest to let go. Remember the fallen. Understand their sacrifice. And never give up on what they have given to you.